The sky above Horse Guards Parade was the color of polished pewter, yet the scarlet tunics below blazed as brightly as ever, and anyone who has felt the drumline of trooping the color in their chest knows the spectacle alone is enough to pin you to the moment. Still, on the 14th of June 2025, the usual thunder of cannon fire carried a hidden pulse, a sense that something was about to tilt the pageantry off its familiar axis. Was it the king, visibly thinner, but still waving from his carriage? Was it the Prince of Wales, beard glinting like a new medal, as he guided the Welsh Guards charger down the mall? Or was it the Princess Royal, eyes forward, reins taut, riding a Canadian mare with a reputation for testing riders when the music swells? Crowds lining the route sensed that an stallion, noble, might misbehave the way it once had with King Charles, yet when the trumpets crescendoed and the horse danced sideways, she corrected it with a flick of wrist so subtle many missed it. What almost no one missed was her posture in the saddle, a rider utterly at home, and the way she rose slightly in her stirrups during the silent tribute to the 241 victims of the Air India disaster. That hush, so unexpected after the roar of brass, was the instant she chose to amplify her voice. She drew a deliberate breath, and a statement only a handful of advisers had seen on polished parchment the night before left her lips for the nation and the world. With the king watching from his carriage and the cameras of BBC One trained on her epaulets, and announced the creation of a brand new role, Marshal of the Monarch's Honor. Then, with a nod sharp enough to cut ceremonial braid, she bestowed it on Catherine, Princess of Wales. The effect was electric. Cheers rippled in shockwaves along the mall. A few musicians actually missed their entry, and social media feeds exploded before the color party finished its turn. Suddenly every eye, every lens, every racing heartbeat pivoted from the scarlet and gold of the guards to the woman in cream stepping forward beneath an aquamarine hat. Why Catherine, and why now? That question crackled across breakfast tables and news tickers within minutes, and the answers, teasingly incomplete, only deepened the intrigue. Insiders swear it was Princess Anne's idea, part marshalling of tradition, part chess move to lock a younger generation into the monarchy's frontline, before public debate could drift elsewhere. But was it purely strategy? Or was it also a personal salute from one consummate horsewoman to another, who had endured surgery, chemotherapy, and public speculation, yet returned to duty with a steadiness that startled even seasoned courtiers? As Catherine lifted her hand in salute to the Coldstream Guards, remember, these soldiers were marking their 375th anniversary. Onlookers noted the micro-details that tell a bigger story. The effortless angle of her wrist, the seamless way her Irish Guards brooch caught the same shaft of sunlight that lit the king's scarlet tunic, the instant Prince William found her eyes from horseback and gave the tiniest nod, as if to say, "I know what this means to you and to us." That unspoken circuit of pride passed straight to 11-year-old George, standing just behind his mother. He noticed, nudged Charlotte, and for a heartbeat the future of the crown existed in one triangular exchange of smiles that no choreographer could have scripted. Yet not everyone on the forecourt smiled. Queen Camilla's face, courteous and composed, betrayed none of the private surprise courtiers whispered about later. She had ridden in a carriage behind the king, accepting the necessity of Charles's new limitations with grace, but she had reportedly not been looped in on Anne's decision until the final draft of the Order of Service arrived. Was her secondary carriage position merely logistical prudence, or a coded message about shifting influence? Royal watchers sharpened their quills. If Camilla felt sidelined, she showed it only in a fleeting glance toward Catherine, as the newly minted marshal stepped onto the dais to receive a formal acknowledgement from Anne. The glance lasted half a second, but carried enough voltage to fuel column inches for weeks. Would the Queen, whose own journey from public pariah to accepted consort has been nothing short of a reputation marathon, quietly push back? Or would she choose the long view and spend the summer reinforcing her own network of patronages, waiting for the next subtle recalibration? Those questions hovered while the parade thundered on, each regiment dipping its color to the king, each drumbeat echoing against the Victoria Memorial like a heartbeat amplified by marble. Then came the balcony scene, the picture every newspaper would run, every smartphone would replay, every historian will use as shorthand for the moment the Wales era began in plain sight. Catherine stood dead center, flanked by George, Charlotte and Louis in coordinated nautical blues. William, having dismounted and stepped to her side, adjusted the white and green plume of his bearskin and positioned himself half-pace behind his wife. Intentional. Absolutely. The prince's gesture ceded visual primacy to the marshal, telling millions without a syllable that he sees the monarchy's future as a partnership, not a solo act. All of this unfolded beneath the scream of the red arrows, their vapor trails red, white and blue, though this year, as commentators delighting in detail reminded viewers, the jets burned a mixture containing 40% sustainable fuel, Charles's quiet nod to eco-modernization. Tradition streaking across the sky in greener form. Could any symbolism have been more timely? As the last aircraft vanished beyond the Thames and the crowd's cheers dissolved into chatter, palace aides guided the family back inside for luncheon. A footman later murmured that the seating plan had been redrawn at dawn. Catherine now occupied the place traditionally reserved for the sovereign's chief military advisor, a subtle piece of choreography visible to no television camera, yet quietly seismic behind brocade curtains. One aide swore the king toasted her new title with the simplest of lines, "To service, old and new." Another insists Charles added a gentle joke about Catherine now outranking half the family in saluting protocol, which drew laughter even from Camilla. Whether that story is apocryphal hardly matters. What matters is that by sunset the phrase Marshal of the Monarch's Honor was trending higher than any pop single released that week. Out in cyberspace, royal skeptics grudgingly applauded the crown for evolving without losing its cinematic flair. Loyalists declared Catherine a modern reincarnation of Prince Philip, supportive, stalwart, but holy herself. Yet the story refuses to freeze frame. Military planners are already mapping autumn ceremonies where Catherine, not Charles, will take the salute, from Battle of Britain commemorations to Remembrance Sunday, at the cenotaph, if the King's Doctors' Council caution. Commonwealth capitals, too, are inquiring whether the Marshal might visit overseas regiments, effectively field testing her as the Crown's stand-in ambassador. Will she carry the Irish Guards' shamrock to troops in Cyprus? Will she inspect Gurkha recruits in Brunei? The possibilities intrigue diplomats, and unsettle Republicans, who hoped a gradual royal fade was imminent. Meanwhile, whispers twist like ivy along palace corridors. If Catherine now holds the Marshal's baton, what future honor might be fashioned for Charlotte, whose composure on that balcony mirrored her mother's down to the tilt of chin? Could the 10-year-old be earmarked for an eventual honorary colonelcy, ensuring female leadership threads through more than one generation? And where, exactly, will Camilla place herself in this new pattern of precedence, especially as the king's health requires ever-careful diary calculus? Every courtier knows the monarchy survives not by outrunning change, but by choreographing it faster than the public can doubt its relevance. Princess Anne's intervention achieved precisely that. A controlled detonation of surprise, releasing fresh energy without blowing centuries-old masonry to dust. As one retired equerry put it, Anne gave the future a uniform and Catherine filled it perfectly. The lasting image. Not the red, white and blue smoke, nor the gleam of golden braid. It is a cream-clad Princess of Wales stepping forward, salute snapped to perfection, eyes steady beneath an aquamarine brim, while behind her, three children realize in real time that their family's story has taken a decisive turn and Britain, once again, is watching. So keep your binoculars polished. The next parade might look familiar, but every plume could hide a new signal, every hush might carry another announcement, and every subtle glance between Wales' blue eyes and Spencer blue eyes may chart the line the crown intends to ride for decades to come.